What's going on, guys? Crypto Renegade again here for you, and in today's video we're going to be doing another hardware wallet comparison video. On my left we have the original hardware wallet Trezor 1, and on my right we have the Ledger Nano S. Stay tuned, you are not going to want to miss this one. Alright guys, welcome back. So in today's video, back by special request, I previously did a video on this back in 2019, and I wanted to do an updated one for 2021 because there's been lots of changes to both of these hardware wallets and these companies. So let's jump right into it. This is going to be the Trezor 1 versus the Ledger Nano S. Now before I jump into the actual content, I just want to reiterate again, I have a brand new ebook, 7 Best Ways to Secure Your Crypto, updated for 2021. It's 100% free and it will be in the description and pinned in the comments below. It particularly pertains to what we're talking about here, so make sure to check that out. All right, I normally do 3 categories when I discuss and go over hardware wallets, and I'm gonna cover the same 3 categories here. However, I want to kind of touch on some of the updates since these hardware wallets have been around for several years. Before I jump into what those categories are, I just want to reiterate that obviously these are 2 very cheap and entry-level hardware wallets, and when I say cheap, that doesn't necessarily mean bad quality. These are just built with a form factor and a case that's made of plastic, and the components are minimal in the sense that they wanted to keep the entry price and the entry level of these devices very low. We'll get into the price later into it. Just want to reiterate that these are the entry level and among the cheapest devices that you can get in terms of a hardware wallet. As you can see, they're physically small, they're not very large, the screens aren't very large, so we'll get into why that's important in a minute. But ultimately, there's been a lot of changes and updates with both of these companies, which are well trusted and have a high reputation, although I will mention that Ledger had a recent hack over the past year. Now, a hack meaning that their customers' information and database via email was hacked and sold on the dark web, but none of your private keys, if you own one of these devices, or none of your crypto is compromised unless you responded to a phishing or a fake email requesting for personal or private information. Any private keys that are on your device themselves, as long as you didn't divulge any personal information via email, are secure and are safe. So that is one bad, unfortunate thing that did happen with Ledger, and as long as you didn't fall for one of those scams or phishing attempts, if you own this device, then you are A-okay. In terms of Trezor, they've had the same secure boot MCU design that they've had on Trezor 1 and the Trezor Model T for several years now, and the rumor is that there's going to be a new 3rd generation device that is going to blow both of those out of the water, and a new security model. Interesting to see that these companies are progressing. Let me go ahead and jump into what the 3 categories are. Category number 1. We're going to be looking at the design, security, and form factor of each of these devices, as well as the usability and what it's like to actually use this device on a regular basis. 2, we're going to look at the coin support for these devices, so any unique coin support that you can get on one and not the other, and vice versa. And 3rd and final category is going to be the price comparison. And then we'll end on, same thing, which one of these devices would I choose if I could only choose one, and let's find out if I changed from 2019 video. Let's jump right in, and I'll start with the Trezor 1. So as you can see, this is a very small device, comes with a keychain, it's plastic. There's only one port here, and this is a USB connector at the bottom here, and this is now managed by the Trezor Suite, which is a desktop application. Now, previous iterations, you had to use the Trezor web application, but they've moved away from that due to a lot of security concerns and a lot of phishing websites that were impersonating Trezor and stealing people's crypto. So when you have a web URL, it's very easy to sort of replicate the website and make it look legitimate, as most people don't check all the details in the URL. They've moved over to a desktop application, very similar to Ledger Live over here. It's in a beta right now, which means that it hasn't been fully flushed out. It still works, and if you do use it, your coins are safe. When I say beta, it just means that not all of the features are released and all of the intended functionality is released yet, but if you use it like I have and tested it out, you're not at risk of losing anything or anything breaking by any means. They won't release anything to the public beta on their platform until it's been tested and tried and true. At any rate, you have a brand new redesigned Trezor 1 and Trezor Suite application, which you'll see a screenshot here. It's completely redesigned. It has a lot of the same features and functions of the Ledger Live application, although it's not quite built out and it's not quite as robust. With that said, there are a lot more native applications, and it's actually easier to use on the Trezor Suite versus using the Ledger Live or the previous web application for Trezor that it had in the past. And in doing so, it's making it a lot more compelling to use and a lot easier to use for new users. Now again, with the Trezor 1, you're not going to have as many coins, and again, we'll touch on that in a different segment here in a second, but I just want to reiterate that the user experience for the Trezor Suite for both the Trezor 1 and the Trezor Model T has greatly improved as a result of that, and there's a lot of features and it's a lot more secure in my opinion. Now this has a black and white screen. It's only powered on through a secure boot MCU when you plug it into the USB, and then there are two mechanical buttons here for declining or authorizing a transaction. It'll show up a little X or a check mark here if you want to send and receive. It's big enough to show the full address, which is very important, and we'll touch on that in a second of why that is crucial. But this screen is big enough for it to display the full transaction address and the full wallet address that you're sending to when you're sending and receiving crypto, and it's very important that that shows. So the design and form factor is fairly well thought out, and overall the user experience due to the new Trezor Suite application has greatly improved. And I do still use this device today. I still technically have crypto on this particular device, or my private keys rather. Overall, the user experience has changed, but in an improved way, and I think they're moving in the right direction. As I mentioned, the device doesn't power on unless it's plugged in, and this is a cabled connection. There's no wireless support, as this is an entry-level device. Okay, so let's take a look at the design for the Ledger Nano S. Now again, this device has been around for several years as well. In fact, I believe it came out a year after the original Trezor 1 here. This is still plastic, has a brushed stainless steel kind of enclosure here, as you can see. It also has a USB connection on the side here in this plastic enclosure, and then also two mechanical buttons for declining or authorizing and signing a transaction. What I really don't like, and I've touched on this in other videos, is that this screen is small, significantly smaller than this screen. And the reason that's important is that when you're sending to, say you're sending Bitcoin from one address to another address, you have to wait for it to scroll, and then when it scrolls, you have to really verify that each letter or character matches before you send it, and that's a very crucial security feature that you need to do that. So because the screen's so small, you have to wait for it to scroll. It's kind of a pain, and then when it scrolls, it's very hard to kind of match one-to-one what that is, and it just takes a lot longer before you feel comfortable authorizing and sending. Another thing that I want to mention on the overall design is, again, they do have a Ledger Live application, which is very robust and it has a lot of great features with it, but in order to send or receive, you have to have the device plugged in, whereas this one has a QR code built right into the application, where if you're sending and receiving, for instance, you can generate a QR code on the screen, send it directly from your phone, and this doesn't technically have to be connected, whereas the Ledger Nano S does have to be connected. It's recommended that you do it anyway, but it's just another weird oddity that doesn't really necessarily make sense to me. This has options for staking, where the Trezor 1 will not have that option. Coin support. Now that we're kind of looking at the design and the form factor, the coin support for this device is technically going to be the same as any other hardware wallet that's either a Ledger Nano X or a Trezor Model T, the upgraded one. The difference is that this holds over 1,200 coins and tokens, mainly ERC20 tokens, but on this device, it can only hold 3 to 4 coins at one time. Now that's a serious problem. If you want to have more coins on this particular device, you might want to upgrade or look at another device. This is an entry-level device, so you can only hold about 3 to 4 coins. I only have 3 to 4 coins, or apps, if you will, on this device because there's not enough space and there's not the ability to add more, whereas the Ledger Nano X allows you to hold 100 different coins or apps at the same time, just as a comparison. But ultimately, when you're looking at the coin support, this does technically allow staking, so you can stake Tezos, you can stake Polkadot, you can stake Kusama, you can stake Atom, and technically you can stake the same coins that you can on the Ledger Nano X, but again, that's wireless and this one has to be connected. Now, another thing you want to be aware of here is that because there is limited coin support, you're ultimately not going to be able to have multiple coins and multiple staking going on at once. Overall, that's a big problem for me, obviously. If you want to expand your portfolio and you want to have more than that, then this probably isn't the right device for you. However, if you are only going to be holding Bitcoin and maybe some Ethereum and maybe one other coin, and you really don't care about expanding, you just want to buy and hodl, then yeah, technically this will work just fine. At the end of the day, it's a fairly well designed device in terms of the Ledger Live application does make it easier to use, and there are a lot more features on that than the Trezor suite as of yet. Just wanted to point that out. That's sort of the unique coin support that you're gonna get here. Now, with the Trezor 1, you're gonna have the same technical coin support, meaning, you know, natively, and when I say natively, these are built right into the desktop application where you can toggle it on or off and send and receive. Technically, both of these can both support up to 1,200 coins. There is no coin limit that I found on the Trezor. Technically, I have about 24 different tokens or coins on the Trezor 1 as we speak natively, and that's significantly surpassing the Ledger Nano S here. So that's right off the bat a huge selling feature of the Trezor 1 versus the Ledger Nano S. However, most of the coins or tokens, you will need a third-party wallet in terms of Trezor or Ledger, such as My Ether wallet or My Crypto or something along those lines in order to technically use. If you want to use native applications, only 3 to 4 coins or tokens at once on this device. Haven't gotten an official number on the limits here, but again, I have over approximately 24, and I haven't had any issues or notices of limits being reached on this. So technically the Trezor 1 is going to beat it in that regard. However, I'll give you an example of one of the downsides here is on Trezor 1, if you want to hold a coin such as XRP, if you want to hold a coin such as Tezos, if you want to hold a coin such as Kusama or Polkadot, those are only available on the Trezor Model T, but not the Trezor 1. So Trezor 1, you can hold things obviously like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Dogecoin, several other ERC20 tokens, even a few privacy coins. For example, Monero will not work on Trezor 1, but Monero will work on Trezor Model T. So just wanted to kind of point out that this isn't going to have the full array of coin support as some of the upgraded devices, but if you're holding some of the basic top market cap coins, then this one will do just fine. Again, in comparison for coin support, technically this will hold more coins or tokens. Again, for both of these, check the links down below in the description, not only for the best possible deals you can get on them at the moment. My links will always be updated with the current updated deals and promos, but it will also show you the updated coin support at any given time when you watch this video. So it's very important that you check if your specific coin that you want is going to be supported on each of these devices. So just make sure that you check those down below if you're interested. Now, the third and final category, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about is price. Honestly, as I mentioned, these are both entry-level devices, which means that they're coming in relatively cheap in comparison to some of the upgraded or more high-end hardware wallets. As of shooting this video, I'm gonna give you the full prices, and again, links down below for any current discounts or deals. Trezor 1 is currently at $55 USD, and on my right here, the Ledger Nano S is $59 USD. So technically this is $4 cheaper. They're both under 60 bucks, relatively cheap. The one thing I do want to point out specifically is that you do not want to buy these devices, and I cannot stress this enough. Do not buy any of these devices if you're interested in buying them on Amazon, on eBay, on any third-party website. There are too many risks. There are too many scams. I've personally had some friends back in the day who purchased one of these devices off of Amazon, and the seed phrase was already set up and they didn't know any better, and all of their crypto was stolen. My point is, you want to buy these directly from the manufacturer's website. So you want to buy this on the Trezor website, and you want to buy this directly on the Ledger website. Obviously, my links down below will take you directly there. So which one of these devices would I choose if I was only going to choose one? Honestly, they're both relatively similar in terms of their price, in terms of their coin support, in terms of their security. However, in this particular round, and I don't even know which one I said I would win back in 2019, but based on recent usage and recent user experience, I think Trezor 1 is still gonna win this one. And the reason that I'm picking Trezor 1 is I do like the fact that I can still hold more coins on this one currently than I can on Ledger Nano S. Even though there's no staking, I use a different hardware wallet for staking. I'll link a video above so you can see what I mean there. But ultimately, this is the device that I personally would rather use if I had to pick one, just because the UI is very similar on the new desktop application. Unless there's not a specific coin you're holding or want to hold, you know, then go with this one. But honestly, the bigger screen is a huge factor. The usability is a huge factor. Just the way to interact with the device with the larger screen and the mechanical buttons. They're very similar, but I have a lot of experience with these devices and I still prefer to plug in and use the Trezor 1 versus the Ledger Nano S. Again, they're both great devices from great companies. You got to just ultimately figure out what coin support's important to you. And obviously the budget's not really gonna matter since they're both within a couple of dollars each. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up here. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns that I maybe have missed that you wanna address, leave it in the comments down below. And then go ahead and click in the top right corner here. I'm going to link you directly to my most recent hardware wallet that hit the market unboxing, the Kivo wallet, where it does a full review, breakdown, unboxing, etc. And I will see you guys in that video. Crypto Renegade out.